Hey YouTube, just a quick video here about what's the best gold to buy, and then by that same token, maybe what's the worst gold to buy. I've kind of got mine arranged here by the stuff that was probably the silliest of me to buy, up to what was made the most sense. But in a nutshell, here's my answer to what is the best silver to buy. Whatever is the cheapest, whatever is at the lowest premium is what I would try to get. A lot of the stuff that I've added to my stack I've bought because it was cheap. So it might not necessarily be my favorite, but a lot of it I think I've got some pretty cool stuff for pretty close to spot. And I think with gold, that's kind of the name of the game. If you can get it for close to spot, then you're doing well. If you start chasing premiums and stuff, then it's going to be harder, I think, to make money on it, if that's what your goal is. Okay, I mean, it's one thing if you want to be a collector, but that's not me. I want to use this as a tool, and eventually I'm going to sell it, every piece of it. So you have to think about, too, how you want to sell it. If you're chasing high premium stuff, are you going to have to sell it on eBay in order to get your money out of it? And to me, that's a huge turnoff, especially for gold. It's a hassle trying to sell that online, in my opinion. So anyway, I want to try to get stuff that I can get cheap and then sell, and make money on it. That's, if I can sell it for melt, and I'm getting it for melt, then all you have to worry about is the spot price. But if you're paying a huge premium on it, you're paying $100 premium or $200 premium, then the gold spot's got to go way up if you're going to sell it for melt and get out of it, let alone make money on it. So anyway, so I think, guys, the best stuff to buy, the cheap stuff, whatever you can get for close to spot. Okay, here's probably the dumbest coin I've got. It's a great coin, beautiful. It's a Year of the Ox. The reason I bought this, I guess I should tell you that. Get to focus here. The Year of the Ox, this is my lunar sign. It's a 2009. This one's a 1/4 ounce. And when I bought it, I probably bought this in 2014 or 15. So, I mean, it was several years old. So I paid a huge premium for it. It's one of the first pieces of gold I bought. I was like, oh, I have to get my lunar. And they didn't have the 10th ounce. And I bought this from APMEX, which is also a mistake in my opinion. But I bought this online. Like I said, they didn't have the 10th ounce. So I bought the 1/4 ounce. It had a big premium. Kind of wish I hadn't bought it. But it's one of those things where if I want to get out of this, I'll probably have to sell it online at some point, which irks me. I don't want to have to do that. These next ones, I love these, by the way. These 10th ounce lunar coins, I kind of started collecting them. I've got the last 4 years, and I'll buy the new one again. And I'll just say this, I'm not going to chase these. I'm not going to go out back and try to, get the snake and the dragon and all the ones from before this. Because to me, that's where you start losing huge money. Hemorrhaging money is when you're chasing those ones that are past issues with semi-numismatics. But these, there is a pretty big premium on them. A, because they're fractionals. B, because they're Perth Mint. But if you can get them right when they come out, it's not totally terrible. It's still pretty bad, but I try to justify it because I like them. But again, if I were to go to sell these, I'm going to get melt for them, and it's going to suck. So these are ones actually that if I were to keep anything, I'd probably keep these. These would be ones that I'd probably pass down to my boys. I have each of their birth years, so I don't know. I like these, and it's kind of probably the wrong attitude. I try not to have stuff that I like, that I'm collecting, but I can't help it. These are so darn cool that I just really like them. So, but not the smartest buys on my part. Okay, this next row is ones that have little premiums attached to them. Not huge, but this first one's a 1/4 ounce American Eagle. Yeah, the 1/4 ounce has a decent premium because it's 1/4 ounce, and then these ones have a decent premium because they're American, and because they're government issue. Same thing with the Krugerrand. I think each of these, I want to say I paid like, I really can't remember, I'd be guessing, but they had premiums on them. They weren't, real near spot. Both these I bought kind of impulsively. I had money and I knew I wanted to get gold, and he had these, and he didn't really have anything real cheap, and I probably should have waited till he had something cheaper in, but I kind of impulsively bought them. Same thing with this 10th ounce. This is a 10th ounce maple, and I thought this one was kind of cool, but again, it's a 10th ounce and it wasn't real cheap. It's a 1985. There's a little bit of a premium, not as much, not even close to as much as the Perth Mint stuff, but a little bit of a premium. I got this one, happened to be my birth year, so I thought that was cool. So I bought it, but one I kind of regretted. It was, wasn't real cheap, but wasn't crazy either. This one I love, maybe my favorite piece of gold. It's a 20 peso. It didn't have a huge premium. I had to order this one on APMEX, which I don't love to do because the premiums are usually higher than at your local coin shop. But my local coin shop owner had been looking for one of these for several years, and I just hadn't come across one. And I had the money for it, and I just said, I'll pay the extra $30 or whatever to APMEX. And of course, right after I bought it, about a week later, I got an email from them. They were on a flash sale and selling some of these at real close to spot, and I just barely missed out on it. But anyway, I really like it, but I had to pay a little bit of a premium on it. This is a 1 ounce gold coin, and this one doesn't have a huge premium on it, but because it's American, it does. But I always wanted, I always said I wanted to have a double eagle, and I was really, really proud of myself when I got this one. It's my only 1 ounce coin that I have of gold. And I'll tell you this too: if you're purely just worrying about trying to get the best bang for your buck with gold, then buying fractionals at all is probably not the way to go because the premium is usually higher. Probably just buy 1 ounce coins. But I kind of think it's good to have a variety. If I had to sell something in order to get, if I had, to get the brakes fixed on the car or something, I wouldn't want to have to sell this whole coin. You know what I mean? I could pick out one or two of these fractionals. I could pretty much make any amount I wanted with these fractionals. So I like having that variety. I also think it's a little bit more fun to have some variety. But, if you're just trying to stack as much as you can, buying fractionals doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, especially all these fractionals here that I'm showing you. They all have premiums, decent premiums. So steer clear from those if you're trying to stack weight. It's not what you want. Either get 1 ounce coins are going to have the lowest premium, or this next row I'm going to show you, this next row is stuff that it's fractional but that I got at melt or very close to melt. So down here is what I consider my best buys. This is a little 5 gram bar that I paid melt for. I think at one point it was some kind of piece of jewelry. It's got a little mark on there. I think it was part of a necklace or something. So it was melt, so I popped on it. This guy actually got for under melt. That's a Dos Peso, which I think is super cool. I really like this, but he just wanted out of it. When I asked my local coin shop, how much is that Dos Peso there? His response was, cheap. So anyway, I think he sold it to me it was under spot. He just rounded down. It saved me a couple bucks. But these gold sovereigns I bought at spot. I love sovereigns. I think they're beautiful. If they had them more at my local coin shop, I'd buy nothing but these. I really like them. Whenever he has them, he sells them for cheap. He sells foreign stuff really cheap, and that's kind of another hint I would give you guys. A tip is a lot of times foreign stuff is cheaper. There's not as big of a premium on it. So a lot of times you can find it for cheap. Like I said, these were both at spot. This is a 20 franc French Rooster. I think I paid $5 over spot for this, but real close to spot. It wasn't a percentage over. It was $5 over, which is a pretty cheap premium when you get down to it. So this was real close to spot, and a beautiful coin. I love these roosters too. I think these are cool. There's other French 20 francs, the Angel and other ones, but this is my favorite of them is the Rooster. So getting that for $5 over I think was a good buy. This one, I believe I also paid spot for this one. It's been polished, I think. I have 2 Krugerrands. This one's much more shiny. We thought it had been polished, so he had a few of these in, and he was, where's the other one? This one here. You can kind of see that they kind of look different. This one I think was polished, so he sold it to me for spot. This next one here is probably one of the best purchases I've ever made for gold. It's an 1885 $5 gold piece. Really cool. These are just awesome looking and just a cool piece of history to have. And he had several of these in, and for some reason I think he had 2 that were 1885s. So I was kind of like, yeah, that's 100 years before I was born. That's cool. And so he was, he had them all out looking at them, and this one this one's in decent shape, but of all the ones he had was probably in the worst shape. So the other ones had a pretty good premium on them, but I asked him, I said, what about this one here you have 2 that are 1885 and this one's not in as good a shape? And so he sold me this one for $5 over spot, which I think is pretty good for a vintage piece like this. So, and again, it's better I think if you can pay not a percentage, but pay like $5 over spot. That's the premium I can live with. So this bottom row, most of them I got at spot, but a couple of them I paid $5 over I think for that one there, and then the rooster. But I think anytime you can get stuff that's at spot, because then it's kind of cool. You can get fractional stuff too. And I mean, I couldn't even get a 1 ounce coin at spot, so there's a premium even on that. So I think anytime you can get anything at spot, that's the way to go. Otherwise, if you can't get stuff at spot, if maybe in your area there's not a lot of foreign stuff or other stuff that's at spot, then I think 1 ounce is the way to go if you can do it. But it's nice, I don't know about you guys, but I can't always afford to get a 1 ounce coin one at a time. So to me, getting fractionals kind of makes sense when I have money for them here and there, when I can hustle enough money for them. So there's pros and cons, but to me, the best gold to buy is whatever's the cheapest. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. God bless.